Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Patched.
Welcome back.
Yes, and today we're going to be doing a versus comparison between the Cooler Master MM711
and the Endgame XM1 RGB.
Yes, so we wanted to do this comparison because the shape of the mouse is very similar for both of these mice. The price is pretty competitive. They both have dope RGB, but they're both a little different. They have a few subtle differences, so we want to explain those differences in this video. If you guys want to get either of these mice, we'll leave links below. But let's get it started off with the overall shape.
So the shape is one of those big differences. I mean, aesthetically, obviously there's holes in the MM711. There's not in the Endgame, so stating the obvious there. However, the length of these guys, I mean, it's huge. It's a crazy big difference as far as the length goes.
Look at that guys. I don't know if you guys can see, but look at how much shorter the MM711 is, you know?
Yeah, and then the arch is pushed up a lot faster. I feel on the MM711, so it's pushed up more towards the back, which provides it a more comfortable experience as far as fingertipping goes, and I feel like it gives you a better variety of hand sizes that could use the MM711.
Yeah, I mean the MM711, the shape, it curves down here in the back a little bit more drastically than the XM1. The XM1 is a little bit more gradual, and both of these mice are pretty much catered towards fingertip users and claw grip users, you know, especially the XM1 RGB is basically made for claw grip users, and neither of these mice are made for palm grip. I mean, it's just not comfortable with the palm grip.
Yeah, I would not palm grip either of these mice. It's just not, that's not what they're really meant for, you know? But I mean, hey, if it works for you, it works for you.
And the shorter length of the MM711 doesn't really matter all too much because, I mean, if you're claw gripping or fingertip gripping, you're not stifled by the length of the mouse. You know, if your fingertip, you're pretty much putting your fingertips where it's comfortable, you know, and it's, you know, if you're palm gripping, the length of the mouse is a lot more important, right? So I mean, if you have small, large, or medium-sized hands and you fingertip grip or claw grip, both of these mice should be great. It's just the arch here in the back, or the shape here in the back, is a little bit different.
For sure. And I will say one thing, as we've said, the Endgame is more catered towards claw grip users, and because of that, since I have large hands, when I try to fingertip this mouse, which is what I use the most, it's just not as comfortable for me as the MM711 is. Now, if I was a claw grip user, I wouldn't have an issue with it at all, but that's just not how I game.
All right, as far as the cord goes, they're both paracord, so they're both very nice.
They both feel nice.
Exactly. You're really never gonna notice the cord unless it like snags on something. As far as the mouse 1 and 2 buttons go, the XM1 RGB is so much better in our opinion, right? So the XM1 RGB is using kill switches, and they're rated for 60 million clicks, which is insane. The MM711 has Omron switches, which are rated for 20 million clicks. I mean, they're nice. They're definitely not bad, but it definitely feels a lot mushier. I mean, they don't feel mushy at all, especially comparing it to Razer mice, but comparing it to the XM1 RGB, the MM711 definitely feels a little mushy. You know, like the XM1 is just, the clicks are so hard and so tactile. It's just, that's a nice beefy click.
It's
to
like,
it, you know?
It's very sturdy. Yeah. Like that's the only way I could put a click. That's a weird way to put it, but that's just how it is. The MM711, I mean, it's far improved from the 710, right?
Yes.
The clicks are far improved from that. So I wouldn't even go there with that, but this guy, I mean, they feel a lot better and they feel really good for a mouse click, but the XM1 is just so noticeably better than, I mean, nearly everything else on the market as far as these clicks go.
They did a great job.
They're super good.
Yes.
So they did a great job on that one.
Yes. As far as the side buttons go, I mean, they are both ambidextrous shapes, but there's only side buttons on the left side of the mouse. And the XM1, the side buttons protrude out a little bit more than the MM711. And as far as the clicks go, they both pretty much feel the same. Yeah. There's a little bit of pre-travel and a little bit of post-travel. That's pretty average for a side button. So there's that, and the shape actually looks very similar, right?
Yeah, it looks really similar. Obviously, like aesthetically, it's hard to get past like the fact that there's holes in this, and then it's obviously a white mouse. But like, it's very similar when you actually put them side by side.
And then as far as the scroll wheel goes, the scroll wheel definitely feels a lot better on the XM1. The MM711, it like creaks a little bit. If you click it to the side, it also clicks, which is weird.
It makes it feel like there should be a scroll wheel left and right.
Yeah, but there isn't. It's just the quality control on the MM711 wasn't the best. So the XM1 definitely feels a lot better. And also the steps are more tactile in the XM1. It's just, I don't like the click on the scroll wheel as much on the XM1.
Yeah,
it's so easy to press.
Yeah, for the RGB version, they actually used they used a Panasonic switch for the middle mouse button. And they said they made less actuation force, but I think they went a little too hard in the paint with that one. Because when I'm scrolling, it will literally do the middle click on a page, and you know how you get the little arrow, and then you get like, yeah. I don't know what that is. I don't know what to call it, but that's we all know what we're talking about.
Exactly. All right, moving on to the skates. They're both PTFE skates, and as far as the thickness goes, they're both around the same. They're both fairly thick, so they should last you a good amount of time.
And they're both rounded as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, I guess the MM711 has 2 skates on the bottom of the mouse, and then the XM1 has just 1 large one, but
one bonus point for 1 extra skate.
They're both smooth, they're both quick. So there's really no difference there. All right, moving on to the sensors. They're both using 3389 sensors, and we really had no issues with either of the mouse. No latency, we didn't notice any lag or anything. So they're both very, very good in that regard.
I will say one thing though, I didn't notice this firsthand, but the XM1 RGB is actually using a patented technology. It's some sort of analog technology to get the input latency to under a millisecond. So there is that. Now, as far as the performance goes, I mean, it feels really identical. Like, I don't know if I can notice that. Maybe I notice it like passively. Like they were doing like comparisons with 144 hertz versus 240, and it's like visually you can't really see much of a difference, but performance-wise there is a difference actually.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, I guess.
All right, moving on to the RGB. Ooh, I actually don't know, because I mean the MM711 has a really cool glow effect. You know, you see this white thing, like this white shell underneath this like shell.
Yeah.
It glows and it has a nice effect, you know, but I feel like the XM1 looks a little bit better, right?
Yeah, I would like, I love both of them, honestly. Like the RGB on both of these is great. It's really well done. On the MM711, typically your hand would cover it, right? But it's so vibrant, and especially on the white chassis on this, it just really shines through and it's super vibrant, and I love it. I really like both of them. I have no issue with RGB on both of them, but that's what it looks like. But
there is that underglow effect on the XM1, which is my favorite. I love it.
Biased reviewer.
Yeah, exactly.
Sickening.
They both have RGB on the scroll wheel, and there is a little cutout so that the RGB shines through this logo as well. There also is a white version coming out, which looks a lot better in my opinion than this black one. But anyways, there's that.
Yeah, maybe the white version will be less prone to showing fingerprints, but more prone to showing dirt at the same time, I'd imagine, with that texture, but we'll see.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll see.
Which lets us segue into the actual material on the mouse. So the MM711 on this color, it's just white, and it's a very glossy white. And I don't know if it's because of the white color, but you really can't see any fingerprint marks or anything.
Yeah, there's like no fingerprints, no dirt or nothing. And this mouse has been well worn in.
Exactly. You know, if you're really shining in the light, you can see it just a little bit. But if you're just kind of like looking far away, then you don't really notice it. And then the XM1 has, I mean, they're both, what would you say is more anti-slip? I mean, they both have good grips, right?
The only thing that I would say is that the XM1, it's good for sweaty hands as well. I feel like if I have sweaty hands on a glossy surface, it really slides around a little bit more, and it just feels uncomfortable to use. The XM1, it's like this sort of like rubbery almost finish on there. So if I have like sweaty hands, and they actually advertise it as such, if you have sweaty or dry hands, it works really well. And I did notice that while I was using it.
Now, the shape's not sweaty ass hands.
I get some sweaty ass hands when I play. Like I sweat.
Yeah. So he's a sweaty guy.
Yeah, when I crank 90s, it's unbelievable.
But the one thing that sucks about the XM1 is that it leaves a crazy amount of marks, like, you know, fingerprint marks, oil, you know, you can see all the sweat marks and stuff. So if you want to have like a clean look, it's a lot harder for the XM1 because you definitely notice all of that. So obviously if you have a sweaty hand, go with the XM1, but if you want the cleaner look, go with the MM711.
Yeah.
All right, as far as the weight goes, I mean, obviously the Cooler Master Mouse 711 is going to be lighter, right? I think it's like 62, 60 grams, something like that. And then the XM1 RGB is like around 80 grams. Yeah, 82, 83 grams. So yeah, like 20 gram difference. That is a good amount of weight.
Significant.
And you definitely notice it. But to be honest, I really don't care all too much about weight. As long as the mouse is like under like 80, 90 grams, and I'm good.
Yeah.
You know?
If it's under 90 grams and it's comfortable in your hand as far as the shape goes, you'll get used to the weight regardless.
Yeah.
Again, if you prefer a lower weight, and that's just what you want, you don't want to get used to anything else, then go with the 711, you know? The XM1, if you can get over the weight being about 82, 83 grams, then it's also a phenomenal mouse.
Yes.
It's a good option.
Yeah, so wrapping things up, it's a pretty hard one. You know, there are some, like we said, there are some slight differences, and it is that kind of make or break. Like we said, if you have a sweaty hand, go with the XM1. The shape overall is pretty similar, but also a little different. But for the most part, you know, they feel pretty similar in hand. But one thing that I love about the XM1 is the click, and that's what's gonna push it over the edge for me, and that's what's making me choose the XM1 over the MM711 are the clicks. I absolutely love the clicks on the XM1.
I would say that every single aspect outside of the shape, I would pick the XM1 in a heartbeat. However, just because it's not comfortable in my hand, I would not use this mouse. I would use the 711 over it any day of the week because it's still a great mouse that's very comfortable in my hand. But again, if this had the clicks of the XM1, you know, and it had the cord and it had the RGB and everything, I would love it even more. But unfortunately, this mouse I can't use it just because the shape is just so uncomfortable for my hand, and I'm not a claw grip user, so it's just not for me. So I'd go with the 711 because of that, but I really want to like the XM1, man. I really want to like it.
That's so weird because for me personally, the shape feels so similar. But anyways, it's just our personal opinion and our personal preferences going to work there. But again, if you guys do want to get either of these mice, we'll leave links below. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you in the next one.